Ketzad Mizvad Perek Aleph Halacha Aleph Omer Ona Hashem Chotosi Visi Pashati Lefanecha V'asisi Kach V'kach V'nichamti V'boshti B'masai U'la'olam Eini Chosed Adov Zeh. So as a result of tshuva, a person has to be able to say to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that boshti. Later at the end of Perek Zayin, the Rambam describes the profile of Balei Tshuva. Balei Tshuva darkan liyo shvelim v'anovim b'yoser. Im cherfu osan haksilim b'maseim harishonim, if fools will vilify them because of their earlier actions, they throw that in their face. They don't respond. And the Balei Tshuva know that Kol Zman that they have a sense of busha and a sense of klima, so then their zchus increases and their level becomes elevated. Here the Rambam speaks not only of busha but klima as well. What's the difference between busha and klima? So in Perek Vav Hilchos Deos, Halacha Ches, Hamochiach es Chavero Tchila, when a person initially gives tochacha, lo yidaber lo koshos ad sheyachli menu. A person shouldn't speak so harshly that he engenders klima. Shenema v'lo sisa olav chet. Kach omu chachamim yochal at mochicha, yochal ato mochicha ufonav mishtanos, that the rebuke is so harsh that it causes his complexion to change. Talmud lomba v'lo sisa olav chet. Mikan she'osa lahachlim, again, klima es Yisrael v'kol sheken barabim. Afal pisha hamachlim es chaveru eno loka, it's a lav she'en bo maisa. Oven gadolhu, kach omu chachamim hamalbin penei chaveru barabim, ein lo chelek lolam haba. Lefichach, says the Rambam, tzarch odam lihi zaher bedava zeh, shelo yevayesh chaveru barabim, ben katon ben gadol. So the only reason to be nizer is because it's ein lo chelek lolam haba. So if my chelik and olam haba were assured, all right, so no need to be so nizer on it. But it's ein lo chelek olam haba, so lefichach a person should be nizer. No, so that's not the pshat. So what is the pshat? But the Rambam changed, right? The Rambam was talking until now about being machlim es chavero, and halbonas panim and klima are synonymous, are interchangeable here in the Rambam. But nevertheless, ein lo chelek olam haba, lefichach tzarich lihizaer shelo yevayesh. So in the Rambam, apparently, the difference between busha and klima in the Rambam is maybe busha is less intense, klima more intense. Maybe we would translate busha as embarrassment and klima as humiliation. But it's one spectrum, obviously. So the Rambam says, if you see just how chomor this is in its most extreme form, it tells you how a person has to stay away from any shemetz of it. When you see what if you'll depict for someone what the dangers of drinking are, if he gets totally intoxicated, so the Musa Haskel you can derive from that is that a person shouldn't even take the first drink. And that's what the Rambam is saying. You see from the end of the spectrum, you see just how terrible this is, so then a person has to avoid it entirely. you see that klima is ein lechelik olam haba, so lefichach tzarich lehizah even shelo yivayesh. So the difference between busha and klima then is busha is less intense, embarrassment, klima more intense, humiliation. That's also clear from the beginning of the halacha. It's impossible to give tochacha without there being some embarrassment. When we do something wrong, we're embarrassed. When we do something wrong and someone else notices it, and because of that we're exposed, we feel embarrassed. You can't tell someone, be mochiach, without being mevayesh in the slightest. What you can tell them is, but contain it there. Don't let it spill over. It doesn't have to rise to the level of klima. At the end of Perek Zayin, the Rambam describes that the Baal Teshuva is Yodin shekos manchein boshin mimasein she'ovu, and not only that, as we say in the pasuk, right? Boshti v'gam nechlamti lahorim panai elecha. Not only boshti, but even nechlamti. Not only I am embarrassed, but I'm even humiliated. So kos manchein boshin mimasehen, and what's more, and then they go to the next level. They're not only boshin mimasein, but they're nichlamin. So then ma'alasam miskadelas. So what this highlights is two, again, basically obvious points, but it places them into very sharp focus. Even though when we speak of tshuva, in terms of the basic chiyuv of tshuva, and tshuva as an instrument for kapara, so tshuva is defined and delimited. But tshuva as an avoda has many is almost Elud Vam Shelam Shiur, has many milas and madregos. What's the baseline? The baseline is that as a result of tshuva, a person has to be able to say to the Rebbeinu Shalom, Boshti. That's the baseline. That's all that's necessary for the tshuva to function as an instrument for kapara. But tshuva as an avoda is something which is open-ended. It has many milas, and something which is open-ended, and that's what the Rambam is depicting in Perek Zayin, that the Baalei Tshuva, again, a Baal Tshuva, again, someone who has done Tshuva on higher and even highest levels, so he goes from the Boshti, which is the baseline to the higher level of Nechlamti, and it's something which is Malasam Mizgadelis. It's not a delimited process. It's an open-ended process.